Welcome to the Jewelry Journey, exploring the hidden world of art around you. Because every piece of art has a story, and jewelry is no exception.
Can you see that?
Yeah, I could see you're putting something on your hand, yeah?
Well, that's it. That's the white enamel. And so then I would take, if I was going to make a circle, I'd draw the circle.
Here, can you raise your hand up a little bit? Yeah,
Okay, so I would draw it with that. And then I get my X-Acto knife. Here's my beautiful X-Acto knife. And I would clean away what I don't want. And then I would go back with the needle and make whatever lines need to be. Like if I was doing a face, I would outline the lips and where the nose is and where the eyes are and get the dark lines established. And then when you fired that, you'd have black with this dark gray over it. And I brought this out to show you.
Okay, good.
This is a really old piece. This is a wizard and a unicorn. And this is Grisaille. And also in it, see, how do I, where's,
Yeah.
also in that, I have gold foil and silver foil and opalescent enamel. But everything that you see that's dark gray is just fewer layers. And if you felt the unicorn, where his back is very white and arched, where the muscles are, it actually has a cameo effect because there's so many more layers of gray there. And of white, that so that it actually is raised. Oh, one piece I would really like to ask you to put in the video.
No, well, go ahead. Please just show us. Why don't you walk us through what you plan to do? And we'll post this. Oh, is that gorgeous? This
is the way I give people their pieces in this display case. But this piece took longer to make than any other piece I've ever made.
Wow.
But
that's gorgeous. Why did it take longer?
There was a lot of engineering to figure out. This opal in the center here is, see how dimensional it is? And fragile. And it's a solid lightning ridge opal that was carved by Danielle Labat, who is a French woman who lives in Australia, and nobody carves opal the way she does. And most of her stones are spoken for by this gallery, but she knows that some things I really need to have. And so she contacted me and let me buy that.
Wow.
Figure out how to hold it in place. It's one of my celestial pieces. And this one's called Celestial Symphony.
Was that made for somebody?
No.
I mean,
And I just kept adding more and more and more details. Like there's, I carved,
hold up a little bit.
I carved this Peruvian opal bead to fit into the opal and act as part of the thing that holds it in. And this diamond is tube set, and that is holding it. And then there's 24 karat gold that is like these elements of the expanding cosmos.
Wow.
Each one of the elements is supposed to be like a different galaxy. And you just disappeared. So it was just a lot of work. And I really love that piece. So I hope
it's gorgeous. It's good. Why don't you want to walk us through some of the others that are behind you there?
Yeah, sure. Oh, they're so different one from another.
No, it's the one you have on one of your kabuki kachinas.
She's mine. I keep one piece a decade. She was my piece for the 90s, and she's my go-to girl. I wear her almost every time I walk out the door.
She's gorgeous. The color blue is gorgeous.
That's down. Her sleeves are opals that were cleaved, so that shiny glass surface is natural. It wasn't polished.
Wow.
It has all this wonderful texture. I love her. And then here's one of my dragonflies. And I do one every few years. And the wings take forever. All the little cells in there are done freehand.
Mm.
And they have to be done over and over and over again. So there can be 30 firings in each wing.
Wow. Do you just wake up and say it's time to do another dragonfly? Or
I don't do one until I've sold one.
okay.
And, you know, sometimes I'll wait a while to take on a project like that. But I like to have them. I feel like I feel good when they're around. I associate myself with them. So
Mhm.
if there isn't a dragonfly at my booth in my show, then I feel like something's missing. And here's an abstract dragonfly. And
Oh, that's really cool. Wow.
the center of that inspired this piece. And that is a slice through an absolutely enormous natural emerald crystal.
Wow.
The shape of it hasn't been altered. It's just
Uh-huh.
polished. And it had all this wonderful webbing inside the opal. I mean, the emerald.
Mhm.
So that reminded me of cells. And that's why I decided to do a dragonfly piece with it. And the stones in here, like this opal, this is opalized wood, so it's a fossil. And I've
Wow.
had that for 25 years at least. And so it just, they,
It's gorgeous. That is gorgeous.
Mm, this is another that shows the influence of other cultures.
Mhm.
So I have this book on the archaeology of Palestine and
Mm.
the area where Israel is. And one of the things I found out from studying that was this bird and
Mhm.
and the ibex show up in architecture, in tile, in jewelry, on pottery decorations for millennia, and
Mhm.
from culture after culture that moved in through this area, and they would just absorb the previous culture's art. And so this piece is a desert piece, and the beads are beryl, and that's really where this piece started. Was these beads reminded me of sunlight, and the form of them seemed like columns, and so I started thinking about desert areas and a culture that had a fine art. And so I
Mhm.
got out my architecture book and came up with this design.
It's really I also to me those are sort of when you say desert, they are desert colors and maybe not they are desert, not the browns and the I don't know, taupe or whatever, but is that taupe that I'm thinking of? But
Yeah. There's a piece on my website in pieces that are already sold called High Desert Traveler.
mhm.
And that was influenced by a stone that was ochre and brown and a warm, soft gold. And and it wasn't an expensive stone. It was just a really interesting stone. And in it, there seemed to me to be a man wearing a hat with a poncho over him, with a walking stick, walking on the edge of a bluff with the desert floor below him. I mean, the whole story was there. There were trees in it. And so I made a whole collar about this high desert traveler. And so, you know, some of my work is, you know, very feminine or with an antique, or some of it's, you know, political with words. I do
Mhm.
suffragette pieces and pieces about voting and democracy. And I just got this, which I am thrilled about. This is Renee Lalique, Prisoner of War Medal from
Wow. Wow.
1915.
Wow.
You look closely, you can see that she has broken chains from
Mhm.
her arm.
Mhm.
This is the second one of this design I've had.
So
And
is that when you say Rene Lalique, is that did he design it or
yes, yes, and it was made during his lifetime by his studio,
wow.
fundraiser for the French. And the one that is the first Lalique thing I ever had was one of these. This is an unusual one because it's silver.
Mhm.
This is an orphan's medal.
Wow.
And this thing, it breaks my heart. There is such warmth and emotion in her body gesture of reaching to gather in these two little babies. And so I've done a number of pieces based on around the idea of sheltering and caring for and vulnerability, using the Lalique Orphans medals as a starting point for the design.
Wow, that is a great, and I can see how that would just bring so much, an inspiration, bring so much to mind. Marianne, thank you so much.
Thank you again for listening. Please leave us a rating and review so we can help others start their own jewelry journey.